Hey, everybody. It's Adam the Bull. It's Wednesday, December 28th, 2022. It is the third to last podcast of the year. Today, we talk about living in our fears, a wild game in the NBA, a schedule quirk for the Cavaliers, and a whole lot more. That's coming up on this Wednesday edition of The Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
Podcast is not for the faint of heart.
And I do think it's time for the Browns to move on.
It's not for those who ride the fence.
He's proven nothing.
But if you're looking for someone who tells it like it is about Cleveland sports,
everybody does fandom their way.
You've come to the right place.
I don't think he's any good.
It's time for the Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
What is it that so many fear? We fear many things. We fear lots of things in life. We fear death. Maybe you don't. I fear death, right? I know your first comment's going to be, well, why did you lose some weight, you fat, you da, 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 da. But I do fear death, right? We fear food insecurity, maybe. We feel house insecurity. There's a lot of scary things out there. We fear war. We fear crime. We fear, some people fear other people for a variety of reasons, some fair, some unfair. Fear is part of the world. But there are some things that we should not fear. You can fear heights. You fear spiders. You fear bugs. All these things, at least on some level, are reasonable. But fearing a word? Fearing a number? This seems crazy to me. But in the city of Cleveland, in Northeast Ohio in general, and probably all over the country, but I'll talk about the fan base I know the best, and that's ours. There's a percentage of us that fear the word analytics. It's a scary word that is misused, misunderstood, and misinterpreted by many people who do what I do for a living. And thus, many of you misuse, misinterpret, misunderstand the meaning of the word. I brought on my guy, Cleve TA, who is the expert in Cleveland on analytics, has his own website. Everybody follows him on Twitter. Everybody in the media watches his stuff, sees his picks for the games. People like me give him credit. Others just steal his stuff and don't give him credit. Folks, there's no need to be scared of the word analytics. Analytics is a fancy word, essentially, for statistics. Statistics don't make us scared, but analytics, for some reason, make us shudder. Pull the covers tight, lock the doors, and hide in the corner. We don't get it. We don't want to get it. We don't want to learn it. We're just going to be scared and irrational about it. I've tried to bring it to the forefront, and I'm not an expert on analytics at all. I don't claim to be. I'm not. But I understand the basics of the use of analytics, the use of advanced statistics. All analytics are, in the end, are statistics that give us a better guide to help us have success. And that's not just in football or baseball or sports. It's in every aspect of life. We use numbers, we use odds in all our lives, in most of our jobs. When we drive somewhere, we want to know the quickest way. Right? We want to avoid the traffic. Sometimes we use analytics for that. Well, if it's 5 o'clock, there's traffic coming from downtown. If I got to go, I'll go this way instead of that way. As a kid watching baseball, listening to baseball on the radio in the late 70s and the early 80s, I cared about statistics like wins for a pitcher. As analytics, sabermetrics, advanced statistics, whichever makes you feel most comfortable, grew in the world of baseball, I realized what I probably should have realized sooner, and many others, that the win statistic for a pitcher is essentially meaningless. And now, even though they still use the statistic, wins, and I guess some of the players care about it, they probably do. The team wins obviously matter, but in terms of specifically for a pitcher, to me, they're irrelevant. When I am analyzing pitchers, when I am trying to compare pitchers, who's better than the other, that statistic I don't ever consider. It is completely irrelevant. Not minimally relevant. It's irrelevant completely. It has, to me, no value whatsoever. We are used to, think about this, for years we've judged, and still, to some degree this happens, we judge who's got the best offense by the most yards. It's basic, it's simple, it's easy to understand. Okay. That doesn't tell the story. Now, unlike wins for a pitcher, there's some value in yards, probably, a little bit. But I don't even look at that. I don't look at who has the most yards as being the number one offense. That's just stupid. That's like seeing a person's face, and that person is sitting behind a curtain that you can't see through, and the person pulls the curtain, and I'll try to do this, and this is all you could see. I'm going the wrong way. And this is all you could see of their face. That's it. I'm behind the curtain. You see this little sliver of my face. But you don't really know what I look like. If you'd never seen me before and you just see this, and then 2 weeks later I walk by, you don't know it's me. You're going to have no clue. You don't have the full picture. And what advanced statistics do is help you get a better feel for the full picture. No stat is perfect. None. Nothing. No one stat is going to tell you the whole story. Not WAR in baseball, not DVOA in football. I know these terms are confusing, and they're, yardage is easy to figure out. Simple. Yards per carry. Little more value than, has some value, but it doesn't tell the whole story. What's more valuable to a team? If it's on the surface, an 8-yard run should always be better than a 4-yard run, right? That's obvious. It's math. 8-yard run is 8 yards. 4-yard run is 4 yards. But let me ask you this. If it's 3rd and 15 and I get an 8-yard run, or it's 3rd and 3 and I get a 4-yard run, which is more valuable? There's always a bigger picture. If I have 42 rushing yards in a game and it's the fourth quarter and my team is losing 35 to 13 and there's 2 minutes left and I break off a run for 70 yards, and at the end of the game, you didn't watch the game, and you see I have 110 yards rushing, but I know that those 70 yards or the game was over. And these are just some very simple examples. Did I have a good game? No. I had one good run in garbage time. And that's not a good indicator for the game I had. Now, these are obviously very simplistic examples. But the guys who study this, who know it, like Cleve TA, you've seen him on Twitter, have, and the statistic, what's the word I'm looking for? But anyway, the people that have come up with some of these statistics, it's easy to just say, well, they're not football guys. What do they know? Well, they're just using data to give you better information. But the truth is that listen, Jimmy Haslam is a knucklehead. He's a lousy owner. I don't blame you for having no faith in this organization. And the fact that the Browns are an organization that uses analytics, you're like, well, analytics, what do they know? Jimmy Haslam's an idiot. Every team in the NFL uses analytics. Does every team's head coach value it as much? Of course not. Value the information as much? No. Some coaches have more power to do whatever they want. Some coaches have less power. And maybe a GM who lives and dies by the numbers may have more say. Ultimately, I find it impossible to believe that any coach is strictly going by the analytics or statistics or numbers, whatever you want to go, all the time. And to just blindly say every time something goes wrong, analytics, you just sound like an idiot. You know which organization is committed to analytics as much as the Browns? The Philadelphia Eagles. They are all in. And they have been the best team in football this year. And that doesn't prove the use of analytics is right or wrong. You know, whatever. I'm sure there's some teams that don't use it as much, maybe. Bill Belichick's been using analytics before anybody else. He just refuses to use the word. Stop living in your fears. Don't listen to nonsense. I know a local Browns beat reporter put out a column yesterday that it just if you read it, it's obvious that the person who wrote it doesn't know what he's talking about. It's so embarrassing, in my opinion. The idea that the coach is throwing the ball more because he's going to get fired if he doesn't is so stupid. First of all, the Browns have been, contrary to popular belief, the Browns have run the ball more than most teams in the NFL. Number two, it's smart to throw the ball a lot because if you look at the numbers of the teams that make, and you're more likely to have a big play on a pass than a run. And if you look at teams, the last 4 Super Bowls, 6 of the 8 teams that have gone to the Super Bowl in the last 4 years have been top 5 in the league in explosive pass plays. And the other 2 were 9th. So 6 in the top 8 and all 8 in the top 9 of explosive pass plays. When's the last time a team won a Super Bowl without a great quarterback or a quarterback who played great? One or the other. Right? The only 2 Super Bowls in the past, 20 years where you didn't have a great quarterback was Nick Foles, who played amazing in his postseason, and Joe Flacco, who played amazing in his postseason. So every team basically since the Ravens won with was Trent Dilfer? Why can I not remember? Or that Bucks team, from 20 plus years ago. In basically the last 20 years, the only time it's not been a great quarterback, it's been a quarterback that has played great in that postseason. He played like an elite quarterback. And you're more likely to get elite play from an elite quarterback. So that's why you want an elite quarterback. And for Nick Foles when the Eagles won most recently and Joe Flacco when the Ravens won most recently, both played like Hall of Famers in their postseasons. Hall of Famers. Best football of their careers in those postseasons. It's really simple. And I just don't know how everybody doesn't see it. But some of the stuff in that article to me was laughable. Now, the truth is with Jimmy Haslam, you never know what the hell's going on. Anything said about him is believable. But when you write something, it's got to line up with what's actually happening. I love how some people want to complain that the Browns are not creative on offense. And in the same vein, whenever they try to be creative, Kevin Stefanski is accused of trying to be the smartest guy in the room. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. But some people want it that way. All right, I'll take an early look at the Browns against Washington. Washington's making a quarterback change for this game. We'll get to some NBA as well coming up. That's all straight ahead in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. All right, folks, let me talk to you about BetOnline. BetOnline.net, your number one source for all your sports betting info. Anything you want, any sport you want, they've got you covered at BetOnline. You like sports podcasts? BetOnline's got you covered as well. It's great, and there's all kinds of fantastic information there. Podcasts, info, lines, everything you want from BetOnline. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. So, okay. Browns are I don't know if this line has been updated. Let me see. Just so you know where I'm at. A little late doing the podcast, a little late this morning. It's actually 9:53 a.m. I got to leave for the TV studio as soon as I'm done here. As of 9:53 a.m., the Commanders, who are 7-1 and the 7 seed in the NFC right now, are a 2-point favorite over the Browns in Washington. The weather is actually supposed to be pretty nice. It's supposed to be 57 degrees. It's going to feel probably 70 to 80 degrees warmer in Washington than it did in Cleveland this past Saturday. My early lean is with the Browns this week. I know their season is over. I know the Commanders have a lot more to play for, but I believe the Browns are the better team. They haven't shown it consistently enough this year. And this could be, and hopefully will be, the game that Deshaun Watson has his breakout performance. I think we'd all love to see that. I think if Deshaun Watson can play like a star in the last 2 games, it's going to give everybody a lot of confidence heading into the 2023 season. As down in the mouth as we all are with the Browns getting eliminated, and again, had they won last week, they still would have been alive. Didn't happen. If they can win their last 2, get to 8-9, and finish ahead of the Steelers, if they do win out, they will finish in 3rd. You know, it's not exciting, but it's better than 4th, I guess. Although maybe playing worse teams in the schedule if you finish 4th, I don't know. But, you just don't want to finish behind the Steelers. If they win out, they guarantee at least a tie, and they would have the tiebreaker because they would have swept them for 3rd place. So technically, they would finish 3rd. But anyway, I'm leaning towards the Browns this week. The Commanders have made a quarterback change. They obviously started the season with Carson Wentz as their quarterback. He got hurt. They went to Taylor Heineke. He played well. Played okay. Carson Wentz came back a few weeks ago healthy. They stuck with Heineke because he was playing all right, and they were winning. As soon as they stopped winning, now Carson Wentz goes back in. Neither one's any good. Washington's got a decent team. I mean, you look at the skill position talent they have. It's not bad. We all know Terry McLaurin from Ohio State is a tremendous talent. He's had another 1,000-yard season. He's 27. I didn't realize. I thought he was younger than that. But anyway, they've got, a couple of decent backs. They've got some other young receivers who are nice players. Curtis Samuel as well, who they have there. But they just don't have anything at quarterback. Their quarterbacks are no good. And so until they figure out that problem, they're going to continue to be at best a middling team. They do have Chase Young, finally back after he's missed 2 years. He played last week for the first time. They've had a good pass rush in the past. So it should be an interesting game. More in detail as we get to it during the week. But right now I'm leaning towards the Browns pulling a slight upset in Washington. All right, quick break, and then we'll talk some hoops. That's coming up next in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. So how about the performance of Luka Doncic last night? This is an all-timer. Luka Doncic in overtime, 60 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists. He is only the second player ever to score 60 points while getting a triple-double. James Harden did that recently. And he's the only player ever with a 60-point, 20-rebound triple-double. Ever. The only other triple-doubles, in fact, there's only been 4 triple-doubles ever where a player scored 50 or more points and had 20 or more rebounds. And Luka Doncic is the first guy to do 60 points, 20 rebounds. And he's the first guy with over 50 and 20 rebounds in my lifetime. So we're talking 50, almost 55 years. Elgin Baylor did it in 1961. He had 52, 25, and 10. Wilt Chamberlain did it twice, 63, 51, 29, and 11. And in 68, he had 53, 32, and 14, which is just, absurd. But Luka last night, 60, 21, and 10. What a performance. At the end of regulation, his team was down 2. He missed a free throw on purpose, came up with the loose ball, and flipped it into the basket with 1 second left to lead them to that win. They beat the Knicks in overtime, 126 to 121. That's crazy. As I said, Doncic's 60 points tied the record for the highest scoring triple-double in NBA history, matching James Harden for the Rockets in January of 18 over the Magic. Wilt Chamberlain twice, Elgin Baylor, only other players to grab at least 20 boards in a 50-point triple-double. That's remarkable. That is remarkable. Russell Westbrook also had 57 once in a triple-double, but he did not have 20 rebounds. So kudos to him. He played 47 minutes in the game. Sat for 12 seconds from halftime. Between the second half and overtime, he sat for 12 seconds. As for the Cavs, they are off again tonight, but they have an odd schedule quirk coming up here for the next 3 weeks. So starting, the Cavs play tomorrow night in Indiana. And from tomorrow night's game through their January 20th game at home against the Warriors, they play exactly every other night for, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games. Starting tomorrow, they play 12 games exactly. There's 1 day in between all 12 of those games. Never 0, never 2 or more. 1 day each time. So, I don't know. I like these oddball schedule quirks. The interesting games during that stretch, there's a lot of them. There's a home and home with the Bulls. They have a home and home with Phoenix. There's one game in between with Denver. Utah, you're playing. Memphis. And then right after that ends, January is a very tough month for the Cavaliers. We're going to find out how good this team is because you're playing a lot of good teams. And you got to go on the road in Chicago, Denver, Phoenix, Utah, Portland, Minnesota, Memphis, the Knicks. Those are that's the stretch. Those are their next home games after the Indiana game tomorrow. That is a brutal stretch of road games where the Cavs have struggled. We're going to find out. They try to end the 2-game losing streak tomorrow on the road after they've been 16-2 at home. They're now 16-4, losing to Toronto last Friday and Brooklyn on Monday. So it's their last time getting 2 days off in a row until next time the Cavs have 2 days off in a row. Wow. It's a while. February 3rd and 4th is the next time the Cavs will have 2 days off in a row. So they'll be playing a lot of basketball. A lot of opportunity to see them. By the way, coming up, I don't know if I'm going to do it either either maybe tomorrow or next week. I don't think I'm going to do it tomorrow, but at some point next week, I'm going to go, because I'm trying to remember when it gets announced. I think it's the first week of January. So I'm going to have to do it early next week. But I'm going to look at the Hall of Fame ballot for this year, including some former Indians players, and give you my thoughts on who should be and should not be, who I would vote for if I had a vote for the Hall of Fame. All right, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks for joining me as always. Make sure you subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on YouTube. We are less than 100. We are less than 100 subscribers away from 19,000. Our goal has been, for the past month or so, our goal has been to get to 19,000 subscribers before the end of the year. We are at 18,912 right now, something like that, over 18,900. So we need about 85, 90, something like that, more subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you know somebody who hasn't, please have them do it. Hit the alert bell. You'll get an alert every time I do a podcast, every time we put out a show podcast, every time we do a post-game show. Our next post-game show coming up this Sunday, obviously after the Browns and the Commanders on New Year's Day. It'll be me, G. Bush, and Mikey McNuggets will be back with us. Mikey McNuggets will be back on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show with us. In fact, he'll be on the panel today. I'll be hosting with Jay out this week, along with G. Bush, Tyvis, and Mikey. So it'll be good. Be a fun show today. Make sure you tune in for that. Check out G. Bush and Jeff Lloyd and the Browns Locked On Browns podcast. Check out my website, AdamTheBull.com, on Twitter, AdamTheBull, and on Cameo, Adam the Bull. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. See ya.